Australia's Desert Diaries. Hello, Arizona calling. And exciting news. This week, I went for a walk in the daytime. Twice, in fact, I managed to take the dogs out for an early morning stomp up the mountain as it was a mere 32 degrees. Woohoo! Now, there's been a threat of a monsoon all week long here in Phoenix, which has brought much lower temperatures into the valley. Although no actual monsoon ever showed up, there's been a teeny amount of rain, nothing really to write home about. But compared to last week, when it was virtually unbearable to get outside past 6:30 in the morning, it feels as if summer is slowly turning a corner. As I mentioned last week, it's back to school for the girls right now. The teenager is officially in her last year of middle school, or junior high as it's sometimes known, which means the dreaded high school is looming. I mean, dreaded not so much for her, but for me, because all my experiences of American high schools come from films, of course, in which there only seem to be three types of student. The horribly catty cheerleader, those mean girls, those bro sports jocks, and of course the random collection of nerds. That's all there seems to be in films, all right? I'm aware that this is, of course, nonsense. Or I hope it is. But until we leap in, who really knows what on earth it will be like? She was excited for this final year at school, actually, because for the first time, she gets a locker. Yeah. Again, like in the films, those metal lockers. And I wasn't aware until the day before school started that it's customary to decorate said locker on the first day of term. Another tradition I knew nothing about. Luckily, another parent was on the ball and so took her and a few other friends out to get all the necessary supplies. Who knew? We are starting to look at a few high schools in the area, and I'm aware that I need to do a lot of research. What on earth is a college prep? Or an honours class? Does she need to do this? What are extra credits? Does she need those? What's a GPA? And why is it so important? There is so much I need to learn. I need to get Googling fast. So many people so know what they're doing. I do not. There's a big row going on in Arizona right now over the wearing of masks in schools and colleges. Now, despite the CDC, the Center of Disease Control here in the US, issuing new advice that everyone should wear masks inside, regardless of vaccine status, the governor of Arizona, Doug Ducey, actually issued his own mask mandate, banning mask mandates. Really? Yeah, you heard it. The governor of Arizona has actually written into law a ban against people requiring masks. I quote, "Arizona does not allow mask mandates, vaccine mandates, vaccine passports, or discrimination in schools based on who or who isn't vaccinated. We've passed all of this into law and it will not change," so wrote Doug Ducey. And it immediately becomes a political statement, of course, because he follows up, "The CDC today is recommending we wear masks in schools and indoors, regardless of our vaccination state. This is just another example of the Biden-Harris administration's inability to effectively confront the COVID-19 pandemic, blah, blah, blah politics." I mean, goodness me. Now, the issue is, a lot of schools and colleges have issued mask mandates for their staff and pupils, despite the anti-mask mandate in law, which means, well, to put it frankly, all hell has broken loose. A bunch of Republican lawmakers have asked Doug Ducey to withhold funding from school districts with mask mandates, literally cutting off any money that they have to the schools, and initiate legal action against those schools. They've said what the schools are doing borders on anarchy. Following scientific advice. Anarchy. That's what they're saying. Another thing I don't really understand is that the governor said there would be no vaccine mandates for schools here in Arizona, but there are already loads of mandated vaccines. I mean, when we first arrived here in the US in 2019, I had to go and get the girls' vaccination records from England and then get a whole load of new vaccines for them, which weren't required in England, before they were even allowed to enrol. I remember there was polio, diphtheria, Hep B, MMR, even chickenpox. And I did point out to the doctor they've had chickenpox. I still needed to get the jab in order to get the tick on the form so that they would be allowed under state law to go to school. There are mandated vaccines already. I just did some fact checking around this actually and found a list all about the quote, vaccines required by law for a student to start school. Whose website is that on? Governor Doug Ducey's own website. Now, there isn't a mask mandate at the girls' school right now, although everyone is pretty much wearing them. Staff definitely, and most of the pupils. What they have done is introduced a wristband system. If kids do not want to be touched in any way by a teacher or by another student, they wear a red wristband. If they're happy with things like fist bumps or elbow bumps, then it's a blue wristband they wear. And if they're open to hugs, they wear a green one. Make of that what you will, but that's what's happening right here in Arizona. Talking of COVID, well, my dad has cancelled his flight again. And now won't be coming in September, even if the borders do open, which, let's face it, is not looking particularly likely. But fingers crossed now for October. Here we go again, round 3, ding ding. Thank you so much if you've got in touch as well, asking about my mum. I've had a few messages about her this week. You can always get in touch with me at WalkerSam on Twitter. You can search for the Facebook page, facebook.com/seeyouinthedesert, or just search for Sam Walker's Desert Diaries on Facebook. And I'm a bit rubbish at replying on Instagram, but bear with me, I will get there. You can find me on Instagram at Sam Walker Radio. Well, Mum is doing as well as can be expected, I suppose. Most importantly, she's still here. But with much of Australia still very much locked down and interstate, let alone international travel completely off the cards, we're still relying on digital chat. But I'm not giving up hope there just yet either. It's been 2 years next month since we took our road trip. Can you believe it? And I think if you told me that today Mum would still be alive, but that I wouldn't have seen her since, well, I just wouldn't have believed you. What an utterly insane 18 months we've had, eh? Now, before I sign off to head to the school run and the never-ending drama of car line, do you remember car line? Basically, in a lot of American schools, when you're going to pick your children up, you don't get out the car. You literally drive onto the school property, snake round in a massive, massive line, pull up outside your child's classroom, and they dispatch the child from the classroom straight into your car. I'm still not quite used to doing this, but it takes a long time. That's where I'm headed in a minute. But before I go, I just wanted to share a little story with you about desert life. Now, last weekend, Dave and I were chatting when he got a message on his phone. It was from his friend and colleague, the one we call Jason, because his name is Jason. Guess who's going to appear on the podcast again? Jason said. Remember his previously reported adventures with rattlesnakes that had appeared on his front doorstep and other such incidents? Oh no, I thought. What's happened now? Well, picture the scene. It's another steaming hot day here in the valley. Jason's at home with his family and decides to jump in the pool. So far, so lovely. He got changed, picked up his swimming trunks, slipped them on, and then, what the? Brief pause. And then again, Imagine your worst possible nightmare. And then imagine it happening twice. Yes, as Jason slipped on those swimming trunks, what he didn't know was that a scorpion had decided to take up home right in the crotch. That scorpion wasn't best pleased at having his day disturbed, and so stung Jason, not once, but twice, right in the crotch. Oh, there are no words. How much are your eyes watering right now? Please send ice packs. He's going to need quite a few. I'll see you in the desert.